My name is Stefan Lanka.
Yes, and you are a virologist.
I'm a virologist.
Okay, Mr. Lanka, what made you come to the conclusion that there is no such thing as the measles virus after all?
Well, mainly two things. I recognized how biology works, how life forms, what mechanisms brought us into being, what makes a disease form, how we can get back to health again, and there is no room in there at all for something like a pathogenic virus. That would be the answer to your question. How I came to this conclusion and why I'm positive about my findings, the second part of the answer. I myself am a virologist. I am discoverer of the ocean's first megavirus, which did not do anything bad to anyone, and today we know that life emerges from precisely these structures. So naturally, with this competency as virus discoverer, I reviewed contemporary medicine's claims, whether these pathogenic viruses exist at all, and I came to the conclusion that that simply isn't so.
You recently put out the offer of 100,000 euro prize money to anyone who can prove you wrong. Why this competition?
Well, I want to achieve a reformation in medicine. That is long overdue. Everybody knows that there is something fishy about the SARS epidemic, the bird flu, the swine flu, that there's something wrong about it. And well, I'm simply the first to have the courage to go public with this. Now, I do have enough people behind me who support me. This also includes a Nobel Prize winner, of course. But somebody simply has to start talking about it. It's kind of like when humanity discovered that the Earth is round, that it spins and so on. And we have to think about pathogenic viruses in a similar manner. We need a reformation in medicine. The costs are not payable anymore. At the same time, people are growing sicker. The Dutch are showing us right now how it could be done. They recognized something. There the people are healthier, grow older, and at the same time the Dutch managed to reduce the expenses for the healthcare system drastically. We have to do the same thing, only more consequential, which means we have to start working on something central. And that is the question of vaccines in general.
We were talking about this earlier. If there's no such thing as the measles virus, how do you explain the symptoms that are normally cited in reference to the measles?
Well, the same way one would have explained it in the past, before the idea of a measles virus came into being. The same way other medicinal cultures, such as the Chinese or the ancient Indian Ayurveda medicine tradition, have explained it, where there is no material contagion, but the skin is poisoned from the outside through crude oil products, the toxins that are in them, as well as the poisoning of our skin from the inside. This is the reason why people visit the sauna, so all that stuff can come out. If the kidneys cannot get rid of these toxins, if the urine is white and substances like urea, uric acid and creatinine stay inside the body, all that stuff will work itself to the outside through your skin. The skin nurtures us, the skin detoxifies us. And once that mechanism is compromised, we will get the inflammation of our skin, which is then usually referenced as measles. There's also a third thing that I have reviewed and determined to be scientifically exact and correct, and that is that psychosomatic effects can come into play when one is separated through violence from something or somebody. In that case, we literally get thin skin, which one can also feel. And when the trauma has been processed, the skin will repair itself again. And this process is precisely the one we usually call measles.
So how do you explain the danger of contagion?
Well, I think that's pretty clear. The question of contagion: if I drink the same water, if I eat the same toxins, if I rub the same toxins onto my skin, if the same toxins are working their way out of my body, I will show the same symptoms at the same time or shortly thereafter. Also a fact that is very well known: why do measles in school generally pop up in merely one classroom at a time? If you look at it, you will find that in most cases, a deeply loved teacher has just left the class in question, a teacher that might have been some kind of substitute for the kids' mothers, and they had a really strong bond to her. And then the strong contact suddenly breaks off. Well, once a new teacher comes in, she forms a new bond with the kids and they trust her, the skin will repair itself and we will see the measles emerge.
Well, there's one young physician from Hamburg who purports that he has proven the existence of the measles virus after all, and is now demanding you pay him the 100,000 euro prize. Why do you not recognize his proof as such? What is the problem there?
Well, the term evidence is defined in Germany and only in Germany. This is the reason I opened this contest under German law, because nowhere else in the world is science defined, neither is scientific fraud part of the usual statutes of criminal law, and this is basically the reason they can say and do whatever they want. I just want to remind you of the sad case of Mr. Herman, which anybody can research for himself, who has outright fabricated nearly all of his publications pertaining to high-dosage chemotherapy in women with breast cancer. Yet this man enjoys a high reputation today, but nothing really happens. However, out of the tradition of legal positivism in Germany, beginning with Immanuel Kant and so forth, legal positivists have quietly created a law that is part of public health, specifically the German infection protection law. So when these questions are decided, our laws, our constitution, the basic law for the Federal Republic of Germany, and specifically the infection protection law apply. The competition is adhering to the exact requirements of the infection protection law, and I have informed Mr. Badens of this in writing as well when he claimed to have contrary evidence. Unfortunately, he suppresses this information in public, and once the civil law process is over, we will ask a court to determine legally what exactly this Mr. Badens has done here. It could simply be that this young physician, who, by the way, does not have a PhD, has never worked in a laboratory and has never published any scientific work, is emotionally and intellectually stuck on this matter, and so he revolts. I have to insinuate that he takes this topic very seriously and in earnest, but so do I. However, I do expect a certain level of discernment, contemplation and tranquility of a young adult, specifically a physician. Moreover, I do expect that he does not take his views into the public prematurely. I don't like that at all. The court should make their decision without pressure, so that they can weigh facts and law against each other, the way it should be.
But what information did he submit specifically that you do not recognize as evidence?
He has sent me publications that, firstly, anyone who is capable of the English language can verify, because they are all published in English. And you will find that there is no evidence in there for the existence of a virus, for the isolation of a virus, nor for the characterization of the actual elements of a virus. This can be confirmed by any non-professional in a matter of hours who will take the time to read the publications. Furthermore, and this is another reason, these publications did not originate within the German domain of law, nor do they come from the Robert Koch Institute itself, which was cited as the central source, including the contact person there in charge of measles. So it would actually have to be published by that institute, because in Germany all matters of infection are subject to our legislation, laws and constitution, i.e. the right to physical integrity. And I have told the gentleman the same, but it's being ignored, and it will also be ignored in public until tomorrow at about 1 p.m. Then the world will look very different again.
So what do you expect to happen tomorrow in court? Are you really sure you won't have to pay the 100,000 euro to this man?
Well, of course. I want to achieve a reformation in medicine. To question whether I am sure has to be answered with yes. I am positive, as a virus discoverer, as scientist, that our common explanations for health and sickness, this old neo-Darwinian model of war and conflict and suppression, contagion, viruses and so forth, there is no room in there for it. It's a medicine of yesterday, and I represent the medicine of today and tomorrow. So yes, I am absolutely positive.
Okay, so you are not against the designation measles, you are against the claim that it is caused through a virus.
Exactly.
Because the sickness that emerges seems to be really real, obviously.
Yes, your question about the pathology of measles, about the designation, is very correct. It is one of the diseases that has been very accurately defined in a medical sense, very exact. It's a maculopapular inflammation. However, viruses are always cited as the exclusive single cause of it. But scientifically speaking, that was not true in the past, nor today. By now it has also been positively refuted, because the models that we have today, there is no room in there for war and attack. All of that stems from historically antiquated thinking, and there is no such thing in reality. But your question was correct in helping to clarify what measles are. Thank you very much. Yes, of course measles exist as a sickness, and if it affects the whole body, it can become too much for the organism, so that one is obligated to be treated. All of that is correct. Thank you again for this clarification, because sometimes people claim that I would deny the symptoms or even the very existence of the disease.
Okay, you're not doing that.
I'm not doing that. You understood me very correctly.
Right. So treating measles with antibiotics is not really your issue then, or is it? How do you think measles should be treated?
Well, no, measles should generally not be treated with antibiotics, only many physicians do not know that and do it anyway. Officially, it is a viral disease. But those physicians who did not pay any attention, or older physicians, will simply treat it with antibiotics, which is even wrong according to our contemporary school medicine model and does not make any sense.
And how should it be treated?
Well, you have to look for the causes. The question cannot be answered in general. Any human will have individual causes. Is it a poisoning from the outside, from the inside? In what condition are the kidneys? This is always the most important thing to look for, just like within Chinese medicine. How are the kidneys doing? Because they tend to enlarge small symptoms tenfold. And what are the psychosomatic effects that contributed? All of this has to be looked at, and you will find the cause and hence the perfect therapy and treatment.
Thank you for this interview.